Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our coaching, publishing, executive ghostwriting, and podcast production services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. Today, we're being joined by Elizabeth Saunders, author of Divine Time Management. Elizabeth, welcome to the show.
Thank you. My delight to be here.
Are you ready to get started?
Absolutely.
All right. Question number 1. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
Well, I would say that I would recommend you really focus on your area of expertise. The reason that I say that is oftentimes people want to write books that are about something they're personally interested in, but maybe they're not an expert in. And I find that you do a lot better when you focus on your area of expertise. So for example, I've been a time management coach for over 10 years. And so I've written 3 books on time management. So focus in on what you really know about and you're a proven expert in.
I think that is wonderful advice. What do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
Well, for me in my journey, the hardest part was getting my book agent to start. So I have published 3 books, all with traditional publishers. And when I first started on my book proposal, which is something I wrote prior to writing my first book, I needed to get an agent to be able to shop around to publishers. And the first few agents I talked to were not encouraging. They basically told me my book was boring, I didn't have anything to say, and it was not a good fit at all. But then I found a book agent who believed in me, who saw the vision, and ended up selling that proposal to McGraw-Hill. McGraw-Hill believed in it, and my first book did great. So for me, definitely the hardest part was getting a book agent. And then once I had a book agent that believed in me, I've been able to work with him on all 3 of my books.
Well, let's talk about marketing. So please share a marketing strategy that you have used in your book launch that has worked well.
So a marketing strategy that I used was around trying to get pre-orders and sales that very first week that the book comes out. I happen to have a newsletter list, which I use for my overall business and then absolutely use when I'm promoting a book. And so what I did is I told people that either pre-ordered my book, which means ordering your book prior to it being published, or ordered it the week that it came out, they got a special bonus. So for example, with my most recent book, Divine Time Management, if they signed up for, or if they purchased the book and signed up for the bonus, they got a free multi-session call with me where basically they would get to call in. I can't remember if it was 3 or 4 times. I think it was 4 times over the course of a month, where I talk to everyone and give them extra tips and bonuses based on the material from the book. So if you can come up with an incentive for people to buy your book right when it first comes out and then offer them a way to engage with you more deeply, I think it really helps them be passionate about the book and make a decision to buy.
Well, and I love that idea. So it wasn't a one-on-one call. You were offering a group coaching call essentially where you would answer any questions that they have and anything specifically about the book. So instead of doing all these one-on-one calls, you had it in the group setting and you had it specifically for 4 different dates and times.
Exactly. So it was all about the book, and basically I covered one section of the book per call. So everyone could call in. So whether you have 20 people or 100 people or 200, they can all call into the same line. And then you're basically helping them engage with the content of the book as you're going through the month.
Excellent. How long were the calls typically?
I believe they're about an hour.
And how many people did you typically have on each call? Or just ballpark?
Well, we had 100 people that signed up for that bonus. And then in terms of people who actually called in, it was over a year ago. So don't quote me on the specific numbers, but my gut sense was it was around 40 or 50. So about 50%.
That's actually a really good number because that's similar to when you do webinar concepts. And for those, you're lucky to have 20 to 30%. So if you had
So
40 to 50% on the show up rate, that's pretty impressive.
thank you. Thank you. And we also send out the recording. So for people that couldn't make it, that they'd have the ability to listen to it later.
Perfect. Well, let's talk about your favorite book. So, what is your favorite book? And what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
Well, it's hard to choose a very favorite book, but one of my favorite books is a book called Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. It's a very prolific author. And the thing I love about this book is that it just emphasizes the importance of vulnerability and of being honest about what you're thinking and feeling. And I think as a book author, that is one of your greatest powers. So it feels very frightening to be vulnerable. But I found, especially in my most recent book, Divine Time Management, where I was very vulnerable about different struggles I've gone through and insecurities I've had, that that's really, really powerful for your audience. So the more you can be authentic, the more power your writing will have.
Yeah, I agree completely. That's one of the things I'm always preaching with my clients and with our audience because my very first book was called Eat Less and Move More, and it was about my struggle with weight. At one point, I was 340 pounds. So I was right at borderline type 2 diabetes. Long story short, my doctor told me if I didn't get my act together, that I was going to be dead in 5 years. So I changed my life, and I did the one thing that less than 5% of our population can do, and that is not only lose the weight, but keep the weight off. And I was so inspired that I wanted to share that story. Of course, it took me 4 years to share it because I didn't know a thing about publishing at the time. So kind of had to learn everything the hard way. But the main thing is I wanted to share a story that wasn't just about the triumphs, that was sharing the vulnerabilities, sharing the doubt, sharing just being raw and being yourself. And I think that's the most powerful tool that you can have is by sharing that vulnerability with your audience.
I completely agree because it's what resonates with people.
Yeah, I mean, people don't want to know about the perfect life. They want to know about the struggles and how you overcame them and how you battle them on a daily basis.
hmm Absolutely. I totally agree.
So, for a final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
So once again, it's super hard to pick a favorite, but one of my favorites, which I will share today as I was thinking about our call, is this one. So here's the quote. Easy decisions, hard life, hard decisions, easy life. So that's easy decisions, hard life, hard decisions, easy life. And the point behind this is sometimes we either don't take time to make decisions or we just want to make people feel good in the moment. So we say yes to things or do quote unquote the easy decision in the moment that really isn't at all aligned with the life we want to live and leads to a lot of pain. Versus sometimes we need to make some hard decisions. We need to say no to things or yes to things or really be honest about where we're at. But then that really leads to an easy or at least easier life because we're aligned with our truth. So that's a very, very powerful quote if you apply that in your life.
Well, Elizabeth, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
So the best way to find me would be at my website, which is reallifee.com. And I'll spell that for you because I know it's a little complicated. So it's REALLIFE and then another E as in Elizabeth.com.
Well, Elizabeth, thank you once again for being on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
Why, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how you can be featured in our brand new Get Published business book, go to getpublishedpodcast.com.